This is the Triumph TR6.
So, UPS guys, hold on. Segovia. Anyway, UPS guy just came. Check out the new shirt I got. Pretty sweet, huh? TR6. I think that's pretty cool. Alright, so stripped down most of the paint off the door. Used my DA and the little shop vac. Keeps the dust down, it's slower. Less aggravation with the wife. So I got my heat gun out. Little Greg Porter trick that he told me about. It's easier, less mess again. Heat gun and a scraper. And so I'm always like, this Bondo is really not that bad. It's not that great. There's some stuff around the edges, but I'm like, no, you got to get it all off. So check this out. So there's a door, scraping off all the Bondo with a heat gun and everything, and these are the old screw holes from all the various mirrors that have been on this door. But I'm like scraping it off, and I'm like, hey, what's that? And I'm like, what's this circle? I realized it's a nickel. Some guy at some point, I think it's brazed in. I'll have to figure it out. He brazed in a nickel over the hole that was under the Bondo. So I don't know whether to keep it there or take it out. Maybe I'll make a hood ornament out of it or something. So yeah, it's my classic car. So yeah, so there it is. I took a wire brush to it. It's a nickel. Awesome. Just to make some money on this job. Like I said, the next phase I'm doing is undercoating removal. To see what's in all the seams and see how bad it's rusted. If it's rusted, I think this door's okay. And also so I can, weld on the other side. And yeah, so on this time, I'm using lacquer thinner and a brush and my scraper. Does a pretty good job. It's a little bit slower. Last time I used it's over there, vibrating thing with the blade. And it did a good job. It was actually pretty easy, but it's loud. And although this is messy, that was messy in a different way in that it would spray little fragments of undercoating all over the floor, and on a couple times I got stuff on the hardwood floors in the house and on the kitchen floor as I walked in. So this keeps the wife aggravation to a minimum. I have a great wife, just trying to keep her happy. So yeah, just scraping it up and cleaning it up. I'll probably be doing that for a little while. Alright, so this is under the undercoating. It's a real pain in the ass, but it looks like there's only a little bit of surface rust down in that seam, so this is pan back a little bit. This is the door, that's the bottom of the door. And so where the door skin comes up right there. So far so good. Hopefully I just take the undercoating off and spray some rust converter down in there. We'll see. Hopefully. Alright, so this is the top part of the driver's side. It's where all the mirrors used to be. And there's been, shit, I don't know, a lot of mirrors put there. Looks like at least 4. We're going to try and get that nickel out of there, solder it in. Well, I was hoping to get a clue for when it was done by the age of the nickel, but it's a 64 nickel, so it's probably not going to show up. 64. I was hoping it'd be like, 81 or something like that. So, I don't know, maybe make a hood ornament. It's pretty snazzy. Alright. Yeah, we have more work to do. Alright, so now I'm just taking up the down bending stuff with my scraper, and I'll either use some of that Dynamat stuff, or you can buy this too, but I need to hammer and dolly a dent here, so I need to get that out of there. So I got it pretty well cleaned up. I took the sound deadener out, all the tar off the bottom. So I think next steps are, there's a dent, a real light dent here that they had used filler on. I'll hammer and dolly that. Maybe I'll show a little bit of that. I'll weld up all this, I'll patch that and weld that. Let's see, over there. I'll hammer and dolly this back up. I'll fill those. These holes, all these holes had rust on the back side, so I think moisture had gotten in over them over time. And then next steps, I'll flatten this out. I may weld some material on the back to make that strong. This is getting really thin around here. And then there's a real slight dent here. I'll hammer and dolly that as best I can and try and get that flat. I'll just fill these in. I'll hammer and dolly them up and fill those. So that'll be next. Alright, guys. Alright, so this whole area had filler on it, but it's really this area that I'll try and bring up. There's a dent. I can feel it. Kind of goes down through here. I'm just gonna kind of find my Okay, so I hammered and dollied that spot up, but I actually brought up a little too high, so you can see it's a little high spot right there. There was a gap, a sink, and it's a little bit high on this side. I brought it up too high right there. So here's the rest of it, so you can see there's no real. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my shrinking disc, and some of you guys who are newer subscribers might not have seen, or maybe you're already familiar with it. I bought off a guy, Ray Schelin, W-R-A-Y-S-C-H-E-L-I-N. I think he's one of the original guys who invented it or whatever. But so yeah, it heats up the metal. It's kind of like using the torch, but you can shrink it. So I'll be doing that to shrink that little high spot down. Alright, so here's the high spot. Just going to dab it with a little soap. A little water to lubricate it. Just a wet rag. You'll see the steam come up. I don't know if you guys can see it. I can see it. And it just, this is hot to the touch. It just pulls that high spot down. And I'll probably do this 2 or 3 more times and we'll see how that high spot comes up. I'll keep doing that. Alright, so you can see that spot's pretty well gone. But it's shown this other low spot kind of developed from that. So I'm going to just lightly hammer and dolly that. Okay, now I'm taking a body file, which is cheap at Eastwood if anybody wants one, and doing a crosshatch pattern. And now that shows me that high spot which I got down with the body file, and there's just a real slight low spot. So it's Sunday the 9th, Daylight Savings Day time. And I just realized I kind of did this stupid. I was working on this little area during the week, a couple hours at night. But it's just a little ding. And there's a ding here that I want to do. But what I should be doing is fixing these areas first, welding up this, putting all the heat into it, and then going back to this area, because it's stupid, because this could just get pulled out of shape again by this heat and that heat. So I wouldn't quite say I wasted a few hours, but you know, it wasn't the right way to do it. So I'm going to switch gears and fix those holes. Alright, so here's the door handle installed. I'm going to have to do that crack up until this little spot, so I'm going to mark that, mark the outlines, and then I'll fix this. Alright, so I welded up these, welded them in from the back actually. There's a little, it's not quite 100% perfect, but it'll be under the door handle. But I welded that in from the back side. Actually, I think I'm going to need a new door handle. That's where some idiot from before had used some piece of shit screw and pushed through the pot metal. Yeah, that fits now. So next I'll weld this up. This should have 2 flats, one on each side, but the lock mechanism gradually wore it out, so I'll put those back in there. Alright. Alright, so figured if a couple of you guys might want to see it, I don't know. I gotta put these flats back in, just how I do it. I traced out, here's the flat. This is from the passenger door, and I've got the old lock, which is kind of my template. And so I'll just be, you know, welding that with my, whatever it is, $8 Harbor Freight heatsink. So, yeah, I'll just do that. Got that. Hard to see.
slide in. It's got a little nick right there, but maybe I will come out and get that later. But this just came out nicely right here. And maybe I will fix that later. But yeah, so 98% done. Now I'll do these holes here. Weld up these holes, which is where the Z-bar undercoating was sprayed in. Oh, sorry, didn't show it. And get those and try and pull that up a little. I don't know if I can. I might have to re-bondo that, but there had gotten water up underneath that, so had to get rid of the surface rust that was kind of creeping under there. Alright, so I just wanted to show I did come back and get that. That's just a little nick right there from the grinder, but I wanted that flat so that, you know, that's where the lock references and prevents it from twisting. Alright. Wife just came out. She needs some help with putting the kids to bed, so I'll go do that, and I think I'm done for the night.
Great cars and a great deal more.